It is November 19th, 1953. A group of CIA scientists and US Army researchers gather at a cabin in Deep Creek Lake, Maryland, for what they are told is a routine working retreat. Sidney Gottlieb, head of the CIA's chemical division, slips lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD, into the after-dinner Cointreau. He does not tell anyone what he has done. One of the men at that table is Frank Olsen, a 43-year-old army biochemist and father of 3. 9 days later, Frank Olsen falls from the 13th floor of the Statler Hotel in New York City. The CIA classifies everything. His wife is told it was a suicide. She believes that for the rest of her life. The program that put LSD in Frank Olsen's drink is called MK Ultra. It runs for 21 years. It operates inside 80 institutions, universities, hospitals, prisons, and mental health facilities across the United States and Canada. It tests LSD, mescaline, heroin, barbiturates, electroshock therapy, hypnosis, and sensory deprivation on human subjects. Most of those subjects do not know they are subjects at all. The early 1950s have a particular quality of certainty. The Second World War is won. American institutions are trusted. The CIA, created just 6 years earlier in 1947, exists to protect democracy from communism. That is the story. That is what the public is told. And for the most part, what the public believes. When the Soviet Union and China begin producing what American officials call brainwashed prisoners, confessing to crimes they did not commit, denouncing their own governments in flat, scripted voices, Washington decides it has a problem. The communist bloc appears to have found something about the human mind, something that can be used as a weapon. In April 1950, the CIA launches a program called Artichoke. Its stated purpose: to determine whether a foreign power could control a human being against their will. 3 years later, Artichoke becomes something else, something with a budget, a director, and a mandate that goes far beyond anything the name suggests. The CIA calls it MK Ultra. The director is Sidney Gottlieb. The subjects are American citizens. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms orders the destruction of all MK Ultra records. It is a direct order. Files are shredded, tapes are erased. 21 years of documentation disappears in days. The program is over. The evidence is gone. As far as the CIA is concerned, MK Ultra no longer exists. Except for one thing. In 1977, a CIA archivist discovers a cache of documents in a records warehouse in Rockville, Maryland. They were misfiled under financial records, not flagged for destruction because no one thought to look there. There are 20,000 pages. They cover 150 separate research projects, 80 institutions, and 44 universities and colleges. They are handed to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. Senator Ted Kennedy convenes a hearing. He opens with a statement that becomes the first public acknowledgement of what MK Ultra actually was. He describes a program that administered LSD to unwitting human subjects on a massive scale. The CIA does not dispute this. The first crack is not a leak. It is not a heroic whistleblower. It is a filing error. MK Ultra survives its own cover-up because one box was put on the wrong shelf. The 20,000 surviving documents are incomplete. Helms's purge worked on the most sensitive material. What remains is largely administrative and financial, enough to map the program's scale, not enough to see everything that happened inside it. What they do show is this: MK Ultra is officially approved on April 13, 1953, by CIA Director Allen Dulles. Its stated purpose is the development of techniques for behavior modification, a phrase that covers everything from drug-induced interrogation to the complete destruction of a subject's existing personality and its replacement with a new one. The program operates under 162 separate subprojects. Each is contracted out to an external researcher, often without their institution being told who is actually funding the work. The primary drug of interest is LSD. Gottlieb believes it could be a perfect interrogation weapon, a substance that dissolves a subject's defenses and makes them controllable, or makes them talk, or makes them break, depending on what is needed. Between 1953 and 1964, LSD is administered to prisoners at Lexington Federal Narcotics Hospital in Kentucky. Many are dosed repeatedly over 77 consecutive days in exchange for more heroin. They are not told what they are being given. They are not told they are in an experiment. At Tulane University, Dr. Robert Heath implants electrodes directly into the brains of psychiatric patients and stimulates them while they are conscious. The funding comes from MK Ultra. The patients are not informed of the source. At a CIA safe house in San Francisco, an operation called Project Midnight Climax runs from 1955 to 1965. CIA officers hire sex workers to bring men back to the apartment and dose their drinks with LSD. The officers watch from behind one-way mirrors and take notes. The subjects have no idea they are inside a federal program. They are never told afterward. The operation is run by a CIA officer named George White, who writes in his diary that he worked for the CIA because it was the one place a man like him could do whatever he wanted. The Canadian program is worse. Dr. Ewan Cameron runs the Allen Memorial Institute at McGill University in Montreal. He receives CIA funding through a front organization called the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology. Cameron believes he can depattern the human mind, erase existing memory and personality, and then rebuild it from scratch. His technique involves placing patients in drug-induced comas for weeks at a time, playing looped audio messages through helmets strapped to their heads for up to 16 hours a day, and administering electroshock therapy at doses 30 to 40 times higher than clinical standards. His subjects are not criminals. They are not enemy combatants. They are psychiatric patients, people who came to a Canadian hospital for help with depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. Some are sent by their own families. Some arrive as teenagers. None of them consent to what Cameron does to them. Many leave unable to recognize their own children. Cameron dies in 1967, never charged, never tried. The 1977 Senate hearings are the first time MK Ultra is spoken aloud in a federal hearing room. CIA Director Stansfield Turner testifies. He confirms the program existed. He confirms it involved non-consensual human experimentation. He confirms that most of the records were destroyed on purpose. He does not know how many total subjects were involved. The CIA does not know either, by design. In 1988, the Canadian government pays compensation to 77 of Cameron's surviving patients. The CIA, after litigation, quietly settles with several of them. No settlement amount is ever publicly confirmed. In the United States, individual MK Ultra survivors attempt to sue the federal government. Most cases are dismissed. They were simply told too late to have legal recourse. Sidney Gottlieb retires from the CIA in 1973, the same year Helms orders the files destroyed. He receives the CIA's Distinguished Scientific Award. He moves to a farm in Virginia and tends goats. He never faces criminal charges. He dies in 1999. Project Midnight Climax officer George White, writing in a letter discovered after his death, describes his work this way. He was, in his own words, a heretic who toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun. The letter is verified. It is not classified. What the hearings confirm, definitively, is this: the United States government ran a program of non-consensual human experimentation on its own citizens for at least a decade. It did so with the knowledge of the Director of Central Intelligence. It did so inside American hospitals, American universities, and American prisons. It destroyed the evidence. It then decorated the man who ran it. Frank Olsen's son Eric is 9 years old when his father falls from the Statler Hotel window. He is told his father had a breakdown and jumped. He grows up with that story because there is nothing to contradict it. In 1975, the Rockefeller Commission, a presidential panel investigating CIA abuses, includes a brief, unnamed reference to an army scientist who was dosed with LSD without his knowledge and died shortly after. The Olsen family reads it. Eric recognizes his father. President Ford invites the family to the White House and apologizes in person. The CIA pays $750,000 in a settlement. The family is asked to sign a document waiving their right to any future legal action. Eric Olsen does not accept the suicide ruling. In 1994, he has his father's body exhumed. Forensic pathologist James Starrs of George Washington University finds blunt force trauma to the skull, injuries inconsistent with a window fall, consistent with a blow delivered before the fall. The New York County District Attorney opens an investigation. It does not result in charges. Eric Olsen spends 50 years of his life trying to find out what happened to his father in that hotel room. He is still trying. The question MKUltra leaves behind is not whether the government did it. That is confirmed. The question is how a program of this scale, 80 institutions, 150 research projects, more than a decade of active operation, came within one misfiled box of vanishing entirely. The hearings happen. The settlements are paid. The name MKUltra enters the public record. And then, mostly, the world moves on. What stays is this: every person dosed at Lexington, every patient Cameron erased at McGill, every civilian pulled into a San Francisco safe house. None of them knew that the institution they lived inside had decided their minds were available for use. They trusted hospitals. They trusted doctors. They trusted the country that told them they were free. The files that survived did so by accident. The files that didn't survive were destroyed on purpose. That ratio, what was saved versus what was erased, is itself a piece of evidence. It tells you something about what was in the rest of them. This file is now unsealed. Subscribe, and you'll be there when the next one opens. The vault never stays closed.